welcome to this quantum seminar. Today it's a special occasion because we have the pleasure of welcoming Cristiano Matricardi. Cristiano has studied in the University of Camerino in Italy, and he studied physical chemistry and got his bachelor there, and then did the master always in Italy, University of Pavia, and then he went for a PhD in Barcelona at the Institute of Material Science, where he got the PhD in hybrid plasmonics and photonics. So topic which is getting closer and closer to what many of you do here. And then Cristiano chose to go for the editorial world, and he has been now for 4 years, if I'm not mistaken, senior editor of Nature Communications. And so today we have a unique opportunity. From time to time, many young people, you mostly attend scientific seminars, but this is very special because we are going to get a closer view on how the editorial process works, what are the intricacies of it, what are perhaps the tricks, what is the language, what we should pay attention to, and this is, I think this is extremely pedagogical and educational with respect to the average scientific seminar. So I am particularly excited, and I give the floor to you, and looking forward to this.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the introduction. So, so how many of you here are PhDs? Postdocs? Professors? Okay. Every time I go to conferences, I love this, it's and everything. Just this is the questions people ask me, and then this doesn't work. Yeah. Can you relate with that? Have you ever asked that? So I try to answer this question, but as you know, when you start a new project, everything seems so simple. Everything seems so simple. When you start to dig into the project, and you start to say, it's not that simple. So the answer to this question is also not that simple. So I will skip the introduction because Vincenzo. No, just because Vincenzo actually introduced me. I will skip my introduction. And I will present Nature Communications. We are 150 editors. We are not all of them are in these pictures, but we are all of editors covering, just every field of science, from engineering to medicine. So this is my team. It's called QAMO, Quantum Optical Molecular and Quantum Atomic Molecular and Optical Physics. We have Marco more on quantum information. Quantum optics is just shifted a little bit to me and Marco, because we're receiving a lot of quantum optics. We have Giuseppe in atomic plasma physics, Anne with imaging, and also Anita, Rakesh with integrated optics. In between with me and Rakesh, we do also terahertz optics, engineering, and material science and plasmonics with my chief editor, which I called him mentor, but just he's actually a chief editor, Stephen Lupin. So. This is my team, and we have the whole team, but we are working for one journal, Nature Communications. And in order to start to understand just start to draft the answer to these previous questions, we need to start building brick by brick. We will give you 3 parts. This talk will be divided in 3 parts. The first one is understanding the journal identity. And this is a really important point, because of course you have the Nature portfolio. We'll focus on the Nature portfolio. And in the Nature portfolio we have many journals, really many journals. We have Nature, which is the just more Nature, just the first journal. It's been started 150 years ago almost. Then we have all of the Nature research journals, Nature communication journals, MPJs, scientific reports, and so on and so forth. I want to focus on these journals here because they are exclusively handled by in-house editors, which means that editors who work there are not professors. They are professional editors. They get paid to be an editor. And this is a minor, seems minor, but just is a really huge difference between all the journals. So coming to the difference between different journals, we have Nature that publish the most significant advance of science, Nature research journals landmark papers of interest to their communities, and Nature Communications important advances within specific scientific discipline. Can you tell me if you are able to grasp the differences? Don't be shy.
No, not the second. Not between the second and the third.
Yeah, I say not between all of them. The first time someone showed me that slide, I said, just what are you telling me? I can't understand that. The thing is more complicated than that. And I will introduce a little bit of trick. It's called the CD index. This is something like just I started to draft by myself to explain the difference. So the CD index is an index published in Management and Science in 2017 and led to Nature in 2023 that shows that science over time has a decreasing trend of disruptiveness. And the CD index is actually calculate this. CD index is this disruptiveness index, which means if I take a paper, the paper that was published after my paper cites more the paper before my paper, it means that my paper is not disruptive. If the paper before, after my paper, cites only my paper and in the paper before I just forgot, my paper is disruptive, create a clear cut with the past. And this is actually a way to evaluate scientifically whether something is disruptive or whether something is consolidating, which means it's okay for science. Not everything can be disruptive, and we can see that. Because if we put on a time the development of science and the CD index, let's say we have a Nature in red, then we have some Nature research journal that's supposed to make, then just maybe Nature Communications, then we have like just this branching of just papers a long time, and just you see, okay, that's fine, just not everything can be disruptive. Because of course, if everything is disruptive, nothing is disruptive. This is a simple way to understand it. And then there's a second thing I want to say. Imagine that far in the future you have a Nature paper. You're a visionary, but just without a solid base, without the solid, maybe consolidating science, but solid, not hyped. Solid science, you can reach this sort of milestone. So the thing is that all results are useful even though they are incremental. This is one other important thing. So we actually can go to the difference between different journals. If we take Nature Communications, we can see that just we have one Nature Communications, then start to branch, just Nature Communication paper. It's a development that is able to create branches. This is what we look for, you go to the lab and just you can use the knowledge that you publish in Nature Communications to apply in your research and go ahead and just understand better something that was not possible before. So we are actually reporting significant advances that have the potential to influence thinking in the field. New ideas, can be new ideas, new insights, new technologies, new mechanism unveiled, whatever. I need to change perspective on a given topic. And then broad appeal is not a prerequisite. You see that? Optical metamaterials, let's say. This is only one topic. I don't want to just be broad for biologists. Just broad appeal is not a prerequisite to publish in Nature Communications. Then let's add another level of complexity. Let's go to the Nature research journals. And to add another level of complexity, normally in science you add a dimension. So we add different topics. We have like optical metamaterials, and then a Nature photonics journal it's a paper that goes across different topics, from imaging, from communications, biophotonic, inside the same community. Third level of complexity, the Nature journals. Of course, this landmark paper of interest for their entire community. And then the Nature paper, you still have 3 dimensions, but here you have different fields, or more different topics. You have chemistry, astronomy, ecology, medicine, social science, and these are the most significant advances of science. It doesn't mean that something that is published in chemistry should be used by some doctor or someone in social science, but they have to create interest in them. This is what a nature paper is. And as you may know, as you may understand, not everything can be a nature. Not everything can be a nature research journal. Not everything can be a nature communications, depending on the identity of the journal. So an editor is like someone who works to have a broad perspective over a given field, and then create this, middleman between the authors, the referees, also the audience, to just cut some hype. When we see something that is getting hyped and hyped, we get, we start to have just the alarm. And since we are not, we have no conflict of interest, we are professional editors who just work for our own journal. We don't care about, if a paper get more citation or less citation, because publishing in the Nature portfolio is completely separated from editorial. And this is one of the important things. So the thing is, I always see myself like this, just someone who stepped back and just everyone is painting a small picture in the big picture. You're just painting a small picture, understanding how to paint, and then someone who stepped back and try to connect dots, And this is actually the work of an editor. And then who defines the identity of a journal. When you look at the journal, try to understand the identity of that journal. This is one of the most important things in a world where everything is flattened. Just I publish there, okay, the impact factor a little bit more, I publish in the other paper. Just there's a lot of work behind. We built the first block, which was the understanding the journal identity, so with different journals. Then I want to unfold the editorial process. What does it mean? Not just you have the editorial process. I mean, most of you are familiar with that. I suppose, just if you send to peer review to the journal paper, you send to the chief editor, the chief editor just give to the editors, there's a rejection, that's a rejection, we send peer review, then there's this just loop until we reach a decision and it can actually be rejected, send up to revision, or end up as So this is easy. But normally, when I was doing a PhD and postdoc, it was looking like this. It was looking like a black box. Do you relate with that? You fit something inside, you get a decision and say just, what happened here? No? And I want to open it, I want to explain you what do we do at the Nature portfolio to take a decision, to create redundancy in the decision. So the first is the editorial review. When we receive a paper, we read the paper, not only the cover letter. And then we ask ourselves a lot of questions. And I will tell you a story. When I started the Nature Communications, I received a PDF paper, just to get started, materials and stuff. And on this PDF paper there was a folder. And on this folder was a PDF with how to assess primary research. And it was like just fresh from research and said just wow. I mean, in the Nature portfolio, I will open this, that will be the Bible of how to get published in Nature. And it opened that document. There were 4 pages full of questions. 4 pages full of questions, I'm not joking, I can actually show that to you. And it's like, are you kidding? And then slowly, doing the job, I realized that just taking decision, it's mastering the ability to ask yourself the right question. This is the most important skill that you also as a PhD, postdoc, professor can actually train, also to define which are your lines. Problem identification, identify the right problem to solve. So in the first editorial process, we go see the originality, if it's original. Yes?
Just a question. Most likely you will cover this in detail, but I'm very interested in the weight and content and structure of what you assess in the cover letter.
Okay.
So, I don't know if
The cover
maybe it can
letter,
be-
I do not talk about the cover letter in the slides, but I can actually tell you. The cover letter, we use the cover letter to, just to have a more colloquial way to understand the manuscript. I read the cover letter every time just to see what the author thinks about it. How, if you are talking to me and taking coffee and just explaining the importance of the paper. Sometimes they are completely useful. They are completely useless, sorry, because they actually copy and paste the abstract and just rephrasing something. Sometimes it's useful because they tell you the story of that, how they made this. And this is the important thing, just you need to understand that we are not actually doing that research. So we need to, and we are not actually doing research in our life. Just we are assessing research, we are reading a lot of paper. I read like just 50 manuscripts per week. So the thing is, I want to know what's behind the motivations, just what drives you to do that work. And sometimes I find that good, but 80% of the time just is completely useless.
So you would say that these 80% are actually kind of missing an opportunity. Like the people who do not pay sufficient attention to the cover letter are actually it's not like they are lowering their chances, but they are missing on an opportunity.
Not really, because I try until the end to understand something. Even though just the cover letter is really bad and the paper is really bad written, unless just you see that you are still not interested, but if you see some interest, you're trying to understand what they've done. Of course, it's a missed opportunity to add one piece, but it's not because you have a great cover letter, so you have a preferential part. But yes, creating a cover letter short, concise, where you convey the message like you're talking to the editor, talking to your colleague, and explain what the work is and what's the merit. This is the most impressive cover letter for me. So in the editorial assessment, we go for the originality. And I'll tell you what. How many of you, raise the hand, are doing something that has been already done? What would you do? Not just would you like just lose your time doing something that has been already done? Just you want to do something more, something different. So 90% of the time, the paper I read, the thing has not been done. So you can say it's not. True, but not, because of course you have to add layer of complexity, and the second layer, how it has been done. It is incremental, it is a new way of a new mechanism, it's a tweaking of a previous device, and then just you have different performances. And then the third level is that just what can we do with it? Goes the implication, practical applicability. But with practical applicability, I also put inside the conceptual applicability. If the concept that you show, even though it's a theoretical result, helps you or help your colleague to look at something with another perspective. Be critical of your work, and try to understand that. And of course, we do not review paper, and we only judge the editorial advances. So normally, when you receive a paper for review, just you say, this part, the technical part, missing something. Just we do check some technical part when we have like lacing claims, big claims that we want to be sure before sending out to peer review. Just most of the technical part is delegated to the reviewer. Of course, we want to know whether this technique is new or not. But the validity, solidity of the technical part is for the reviewer. So this is a summary that we normally write. Are you surprised? We write a summary for every single paper we read. And a summary is like what they've done and a recommendation. I don't want to publish, just this paper is based on the development of an electromechanical oscillator that they developed in the previous work. they only tune the laser position and they have like pumps. That's it. No. And for me, this is incremental because technically it's using the same. They are just swapping the laser, and they are they are having like just just performances which are not really giving us something more, not something that we are not able to do right now. I was not able to do before. So we just select the reviewers and stuff. In this side, we also, as I said, we circulate and communicate either with our team or with other teams, like Antonio and Silvia for materials, or Christian, Emanuele, and Elijah for organic photovoltaics. Just this are the guys who actually I interact with more often, and the other way around. So we send out peer review, and then we have the peer review assessment. We have this, just our previous report, and then we have also the review report. What do we do? It's like going to our previous decisions, put on the side the other decisions, say just okay. It's my questions about enthusiasm. I want to see the enthusiasm of this new technique from the reviewers. Are the reviewers enthusiasts? So we actually need to see the enthusiasm of the reviewer, if they like the way they did it, and so they are consideration, the scope, if it's in the scope of the paper, the work required for a revision. For example, if someone said to the authors, I want to see a proof of concept, but I say, come on, I don't want to see a proof of concept as an editor because this is a new idea. I can overrule that. And and then there are technical consideration, which are not, just if that technical consideration, we always need just a major revision or something like similar. So the decision is for the editor, which means we can overrule something. We can overrule the level of novelty, the broadness. We are involving more editors in the decisions to build the redundancy, always redundancy, and decisions are not votes. There's not two reviewers, yes, one no, so this has to pass. Because we focus on arguments. We focus on actual arguments written in the reports and actual argument written in our report. So this is a funny letter from a peer review process that happened. Peer review, it's not an easy process, and then you're not, there was this letter. It's just we, Mr. Rosen and I, send your manuscript for publication, and not authorize you to show it to any specialist before it is printed. So I see no reason to address the, in any case, erroneous comment of your anonymous expert, and on the basis of this incident, I prefer to publish the paper elsewhere. Respectively, who knows? Albert Einstein. So you are not the first scientist who is upset with peer review. But also it tells you that peer review is a modern thing. It's been here since like 50 years, 60 years, 70 years now, right now. And it can change. And if you have ideas, if you have, just get involved with the community, try to push some changes. Also, because of course, this has to come also from a collaboration between everyone in the community. So, peer review is a modern tool. It's fair to be upset with reviewers, but at the end of the day, the peer review is meant to, transform your paper from a practical, not draft, but just its good results to a perfect thing. So this is the aim of the peer review process. But let's talk about rejection, because of course you can be accepted, but just then you can actually be rejected. And basically, these are the four main reasons why we reject some manuscript, like just conclusion are not sufficiently supported, so just we can't tell what we are saying it's true because there's not sufficient proofs, experimental or theoretical, whatever. Technical concerns not perpetrate during review reports and review rounds. finding not sufficiently novel. Sometimes this happens only at the first round of peer review. If you just go to the second and third round of peer review, this should be solved. Should be solved actually at the first editorial decision, and if not, at the first round of peer review. If it's not solved, it means that just novelty and the advantage, it's editorial is fine. Only some exception. Or lack of a critical element, which actually can actually be under the technical concerns. So you can actually either appeal. So when you appeal a decision, the great way is like first consider your case realistically. Try to boil down. You know, just you receive a rejection, you're just upset. You just say, I don't want to just say, okay, let's write the editor and just they didn't understand anything. Blah, 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 just write 5 pages. Just this doesn't work because of course it's not realistically thought. And then add substantial changes, not just discussion, especially if the report comes after the review. The rejection comes after the review. No cosmetic rewriting, not like just changing this word, that word. Unfair attacks or celebrity endorsement. I published so many papers, I've been in this group and it's like a lot of nature law citation. I don't care about citation. I'm an editor. And the thing that I want at the end of the day, at the end of the year, is that I look back at the content that is published in my journal and I say, this is a consistent content that I give to the community. Especially in our journal, because we have targets, but we don't have binding targets. We are completely separated from the publishing department, from the editorial department. There are guidelines, but not binding guidelines. The final decision is on the editor. And since I am an independent professional editor, I don't have conflict of interest in just steering the field toward my work, not just my research line. So, no celebrity endorsement, because it doesn't work. Not just it closes the door really, really quickly. So, got the rule, don't fight, add evidence and substantial changes. And you also have transfer. I go really fast on this. Of course, we're independent, just different journals, and we can transfer internally. We can save a lot of time, especially after review. And then I want to show you this new. It's
1 o'clock.
Okay.
So we have a few more. I think the next one is around 1:15. I'm not sure if he's
1:15?
here yet. Yeah, 1:15, 1:15.
Okay. So this is I will skip the Q&A. So I will go to the third and last part. And this third and last part is understanding your message. So just you understand the difference between different journals. You understand how do we make decisions, okay? And then try to just shift the vision. Just let's try to see how I can actually make a clear message. So the first, I will give you 4 rules. I won't go just too fast. There's master classes who are just 2 days long on these topics. I have only a few minutes. So first rule, think about the reader. Who is scientist, in this case, just for the editors, when you write a cover letter, think that you are writing to an editor. When you're writing a PBP, a point-by-point response, think that you're writing to reviewers. Or when you are actually crafting your story, think that you are writing to a community and decide and try to understand to which community you are addressing this issue. And this is the thing that I said, that just you have to be able to truly select the right question. And here it comes. When you address some questions to a specific community, you need to understand to which community you are referring to and not be wrong. Because it's easy to be wrong and hide the message and see my papers in Nature. But realistically, it's not that. It's not for that community. So, second rule, explain, not hide. Not just say, this remarkable novel, blah, blah, blah. Synthesis is a pure product. Stop. This is it. Or avoid claims novelty. Not just novelty doesn't mean nothing. Not just mean nothing. Not just is like, what do you mean with novelty? Not just explaining why it's novel. Not just try to make the novelty implicit in the concept. Explaining why. And third rule, of course, this is actually every novel impactful. I don't know is it really clear? But just it creates a barrier to the reader. But just this is forget about it. Third rule: show, don't tell. You know, you see why this is important. Not only see what we've done. Tell the reader one step more, without, be careful to don't hype, because it's easy to see why this is important, hyping the message. And in this process, you slowly get more aware of the implication of your work. Try to do this exercise every time you write. And this is an example, but just I will skip that. And be clear and be simple. You know, jargons, acronyms, they really create confusions. And there's an article in the New York Times, the are you confused by scientific jargons? So are scientists. And if you see the graphs, but just this is a proportion of jargon in titles and citations, and you see just when you have like just a low proportion of jargon in title, you have much more citations, and just decrease with jargons. Same happen with jargons in the abstract. So scientists don't, just your community do not like jargons. Unless you're writing a really, really specific article, do not use jargons. Unless you're writing method section, when you have to be concise and you have to, just to condensate many concepts into one word, maybe you can use that, but just not in the title. Just they are completely useless. And this is a summary. Think of the reader, explain, don't hype, show, don't tell, and be clear and be simple. Which means that, it helps, of course, me to understand better the work, but as I said before, it helps you to develop a critical thinking, to develop this ability, this skill, to ask you the questions that are important to ask. You can ask whichever questions, but not because a question can be asked, so just it's worth it. So we need to understand that we need to train this critical thinking skills, critical thinking skills to analyze the true value of the work. So, do you remember there was a question before at the beginning? How to pass the editorial filter. And then in this case, we have the editorial journal identity, the editorial process, how to convey the message. And then to answer this question, the answer is deleting this question. And then go through how do I understand the real value of the scientific question I answer with my work. And in the other way around, how do I question my work? How do I assess myself, my work? How do I understand where it actually fits in the community? And in this way, you can also understand how to pass the editorial filter. Because you really understand where it's set, even though it's a nature communication, FPJ, whatever. This is the holistic vision of the just of the editorial selection. There's no just a trick to pass the editorial selection. The system is more complex than so. This is I think we have a little time of Q&A, and then I will wrap up. So if you have some questions about this writing part, because probably most of you are actually struggling with writing, if you're writing your first or second PhD work or whatever. I think, yeah.
Can I ask about the second part, still about the
Hype. The hype.
No, about the
Yeah, sure. Just I skipped that because we have 10 minutes.
If you don't mind, what is the mechanism for choosing the referees from your side? You read the PDF, and you read the title, you read the paper. What is the mechanism that takes you from there to emailing the 3 referees?
If you read the manuscript, and if you are, when you read the manuscript, of course you get, you don't understand everything, or you are more curious on some aspect rather than others, or you decide which aspect is important, which aspect you want to overrule. I want to overrule novelty. I don't care if this system has been used before or whatever. I care about the actual practical applicability, the figure of merits, because they are really impressive. I don't care about it. Maybe I invite only one expert to assess not just the novelty part, and if they have novelty issues, straight away overruled unless they actually change my original idea. And then I focus more on other aspects. Just if I want to see application in quantum, because there's a quantum optic paper in photonics and stuff, just production of entangled photons in a new wavelength range. Okay, and I'm interested in this in possible application. I find at least 2 people who are quantum optics, applied quantum optics. I don't care about theoretical quantum. I just want to see if this is actually that they tomorrow will actually use in the lab. This is what and this is how do we decide the expertise. We actually put a lot of effort in actually picking the right expertise for the right paper. We don't just go randomly and say just this is more or less the same field. We focus on what do we want to assess, what can actually help us to take the final decision.
Yeah, so just one question with this question. Do the referees that we suggest in the cover letter matter or not? And second, how much time at the editorial step you spend to reject right away or send it to review? Or how much time do we have to attract your attention?
There was a paper, there was a batch of paper beginning of November who in my folder reached 31 days. But this is actually it's an exception because of course there were annual leaves behind and between 2 travels, international travels. I've been working only 2 days in August, so it's normal. Just depending also on when you send out to peer review. Because if you send out to peer review if you submit a paper in March, everything is out. There's no search. Just in July, we have like at least 50% more submission because everyone is actually trying to submit the paper before going to vacation. Just we have a lot of papers.
So during summer is better?
During summer is worst.
It's the worst.
During summer is the worst because everyone is submitting the paper before and not just going to vacation. And just from mid-June to mid-August, it's the worst period because we have a surge of submission. We have a little less submission. March, now November. No, November is like just a little bit calm. So just if you submit a paper in November, you probably get an answer in like just less than 10 days. Easily. Normally you should get an answer in less than 10 days. Editorial, the first editorial.
And about the referees in the cover letter?
The referees, we read that list and we run our COI, conflict of interest checks before. Because of course we can trust the author, but we don't want to conflict. And of course, if you suggest someone who has not the expertise they want, I don't select them. But they are really useful. Keep doing that. You first and then.
Yeah. The question that I have is how do you handle conflicts? Because,
Conflicts.
You don't have necessarily conflicts with the authors because you mentioned that you're a full-time editor. But I'm sure that in fast-paced fields that you have multiple submissions that are not public yet that points to the same direction. So in cases like these, or whether you have cases like these.
I had few on that actually. The thing we do is like if I receive a submission today, and another submission that does practically the same, only slightly differently, in like 15 days, 20 days, or 1 month, I treat that as a equal submission. So I treat that together, and I choose the same set of referees. So to assess those papers, I ask the referees to assess both papers. In this way, we avoid the we need to be careful that someone is not just lining toward one researcher or not. So just we need to run. We actually run a double, just conflict of interest. We just and we explain in the letter that it should be fair, should not be biased, just we are.
So you disclose this?
I disclose, and every time should be fair and unbiased, but I disclose it on top of classical policy disclosing that this is a special process that we use when we have similar submissions, and on occasion we also take, for example, for each paper, one independent reviewer that just is not seeing the other one. So this is the way we handle two submissions.
And the end result of that is that, let's say that it's positive for both, then they are published together in the same issue.
Day.
Yeah.
Same day,
But
just
this is intentionally somewhat exploited from the authors as well.
So what?
Somewhat exploited from the author side as well. If they know that it's similar, if they know that other people are actually working on a similar issue, they also submit together. Right?
We don't know it.
Okay.
The author doesn't know it. Just the author. Probably they know because, of course, if you're working in a field, and just you will see an archive, or you've seen that presentation in a conference. If the work is the same, you must probably participate in the same conference.
Does the preprints affect your decision in terms of, let's say, landmarking defining?
Not if the preprint it's young.
Okay.
If it's a preprint like in, let's say, 5 months, 5 months, I say just okay, we can actually we write that on our report. Sometimes when there's a really strong conceptual novelty issue, we highlight to reviewer and say, just can you tell us about this, just this problem? How do you think about it? Even just we ask that. But normally for preprint, it's case by case. There's a preprint that just shows exactly the same. So just and it's 1 year old. It's like it's about to be published. This paper probably will get published in 1 year, and just we do not do that. Thank you. You and I.
I have to ask a question.
Yeah.
So why is there no system where the editor can directly ask the question to the author? And can
Why?
communicate? Is there no system you directly ask the author the question? They can directly communicate to the.
For me to ask the
We
authors.
always communicate with referee.
Yes, but just you can also communicate to the editor with the cover letter. The cover letter, it's the tool you have to take a
You
copy.
said that you read the manuscript and you have sometimes question, but you don't ask the author.
Of course, because we need to be impartial as much as possible. Just I need to read the information that I need from what is written. Sometimes,
So we can improve the manuscript based on the question.
of course, sometimes I did it, but I did some say video call with the authors to just understand, because they wanted to explain me and just explain. This was after review and explained perfectly what was the problems and stuff. Just explain.
Second quick question, what is the best review comment that you can see? Review comment. What kind of review comment?
Review comment. The best, the best is like summary, opinion, personal opinion, and just a recommendation, and just I think that this is because this is fair, because, and just a lot of because, and then technical.